We are looking at density today. So all of y'all have had some experience with density in your other science classes. Here's a quick example of density. We have cooking oil, water, and honey. And the cooking oil is going to be the least dense, and the honey is going to be the most dense. And that is because in cooking oil, the molecules or atoms are farthest apart, and in honey, the molecules or atoms are closest together. So there's less space, so it sinks. And we can see that on our next picture. But first, the density. Density is the ratio of mass of a substance to the volume of a substance. So we're comparing mass and volume of a substance to get its density. So we have a nice picture here of low density to high density. You can see in that low density, those atoms are farthest apart, and then in our high density, they are closest together. So yes, density, the formula is mass divided by volume. Mass is pretty easy to find using electronic balance, but volume can be more challenging. So you probably know from math class that volume can be length times width times height. But if you have something like this rock, it's not regular shaped. You can't just measure it and calculate the volume. So we have to find the volume using displacement of water. Displacement of water. And we do that using our graduated cylinder. So we can see here on our graduated cylinder, it starts at 150, and then the rock is put in and it goes up to 180. And our graduated cylinders do measure in milliliters. So that brings us to the units that we use for volume. So mass is pretty easy. You use grams, which is abbreviated with a G. Let me rewrite that. But for volume, our units for volume can be measured in centimeters cubed if we have a regular shaped object, or milliliters if we have an irregular shaped object. And those are equal to each other, so you might see them used interchangeably. So if our units for mass are grams and our units for volume is centimeters cubed or milliliters, that means our units for density is a combination of those two. So we say grams per centimeter cubed or grams per milliliter. So those are our units for density. And when we combine units like that, when we have a combination, we call those derived units. So again, when we have a combination of units, we call those derived units, which y'all saw that word in our warm-up in the Quizlet. Okay, so let's do some practice problems. The first practice problem on here is actually using the information from this graduated cylinder, and y'all will be doing a lab where you do have to take the volume of objects using a graduated cylinder. So our formula for density, again, is D equals M divided by V. Density equals mass divided by volume. I'm going to go ahead and list out my three variables, and this is how I want you guys to do this too. So every time I'm going to be looking for a formula, I'm going to be looking for Your variables listed out. I'm going to be looking for your work. So the density is what we are solving for. It says, what is density? And they give us some information. So they give us 15.6 grams. And then for volume, our volume is up here. So the starting volume was 150 milliliters, and the ending volume was 180 milliliters. So I'm just going to subtract those to get 30 milliliters. Okay, so I'm going to fill in the problem. I have density is equal to 15.6 grams over 30 milliliters. And I just do my math on my calculator, and that comes out to 0.52. And then we put that over here, 0.52, and that's grams per milliliter. So you guys can stop the video and do this practice problem in your notes. And I'm going to go to example 2. Okay, so example 2 is a little bit different than example 1. We start out again by writing our equation. This time it says, what is the mass of the solid? So mass is what we're going to be trying to find. If the density is 4.83 and the volume is 2.7 centimeters squared. So I'm going to put 4.83 grams per centimeter cubed. Oops, I think I said squared earlier. I meant cubed. So I'm just going to plug these in, 4.83 for density. I'm looking for mass, and then my volume is 2.7. We do have to do some algebra here, so I'm going to do that in a different color. I'm going to go ahead and multiply both sides by 2.7, so I can get my unknown by itself. So I'm going to cross those out. 2.7 times 4.83 is equal to 13.0. And that is the answer to our problem. And I'm going to do that math one more time. I have 2 answers on my answer key. So 2.7 times 4.83. Yep, that's right. 13.0. And mass is measured in grams. Okay, so y'all should stop the video and do practice problem number 2. It is done like example 2. Okay, example number 3. This time, it says what volume of silver metal will weigh exactly 2,500 grams. The density of silver is 10.5 grams per centimeter. So again, our formula is density equals mass divided by volume. Our mass is right here. And our density is here. What is our volume? Okay, so we plug in the numbers for density, plug in the number for mass, and find volume. So we're looking for volume this time. We're going to do some algebra. We're going to multiply both sides by V so that I can get it out of there. And then we're going to divide both sides by 10.5. So volume equals 2,500 divided by 10.5 comes out to 238. And I need some units for this. So I see centimeters cubed was used. So I'm going to use centimeters cubed. Okay, and y'all can stop the video and finish up with problem 3.